Here we go. We are at the last step of our project. As you remember, we got 4 steps in our algorithm. Read the TXT file, fill a collection, compute the symptoms, and write them on a new TXT file. We are at the last step. For those who don't need my help at all, as usual, do what you want. You're free. Just find a solution to write the content of the tree map inside a new TXT file, and we will call it results.txt. For those who need a tip, I'm going to show you right now a tip, and I will ask you to look for those classes on internet, to look for some code where people are accessing and writing, creating TXT file on their operating system. You can check the file writer class, the buffer writer, the set, the iterator, and the map. I know this is a lot, but that's part of the job of the developer, to look for information and to try to understand what people did on internet and try to do it yourself with the help of the code of other people. So try to do it, do your best, and I'm waiting for you for a solution. You can hit the pause button. Here we go. Let's jump into it for the last part of our project. I'm doing a write symptom method, still in compute data, of course, compute data. It will return nothing, absolutely nothing, because the purpose of this method, you understand it, is to write, to create a new TXT file and to write the symptoms inside it, the sorted symptoms. So this method will have 2 parameters. The first one will be our, of course, tree map of string and integer, string for the values, for the keys, sorry, and integer for the values, and the name of the file we want to create and to fill. I'm doing an instance of an object of type file. As you can see, the purpose of the file class is to create the constructor, is to create a new file instance by converting the given path name string into an abstract path name. If the given string is the empty string, then the result is the empty abstract path name, right? So in other words, when I'm going to call write symptoms method to create the TXT file and write all the symptoms inside it, I will provide file name parameter. Then this way, it will give the name for my TXT file. So an object of type, an instance of an object of type file. I'm jumping onto a try catch, because as you know now, when we are going to read or write some files on an operating system, the JDK might not be able to access, for whatever reason, the file, so it wants to be able to catch an exception. I'm doing an instance of an object of type file writer, and they say about file writer is to write text to character files using a default buffer size encoding from characters to bytes, uses either a specified car set of the platform's default car set, all right? So you definitely need this class to be able to write on a TXT file. I'm calling the constructor, and inside the parameter, I can provide the file, the given file in which I want to write. Construct a file writer given the file to write using the platform default car set. All right. I'm using the buffered writer, sorry. So the buffered writer, they say, writes text to a character output stream, buffering characters so as to provide for the efficient writing of single characters, arrays, and strings, etc. The buffer size may be specified, etc. So this is really important because inside the buffered writer, we will use the method that will let us indeed write inside the TXT file. I'm using the constructor of the buffered writer, and inside the constructor, I'm providing an instance of an object of my type file writer, of my writer variable. So I know this is a bit complicated. We did an object of type file with the name of the txt we want. We did an object of a file writer object with the file inside the constructor, and we did a buffered writer object with the writer instance, all right? Then we instantiate an object of type set. The set is a collection that contains no duplicate element. More formally, sets contain no pair of elements, etc. So a set is a collection, and we can get everything that is inside the list we provided, so the tree map, and we can convert it, return it into an object of type set. In other words, I'm using a method that is inside the tree map already, then it will return a set. This way, I can instantiate an object of type set. All right? Then I'm instantiating an iterator, which is pretty comfortable because it has all the methods that are needed to iterate on it. So I'm doing iterator, it, and inside the set, there is a method called iterator, returns an iterator over the element of the in this set. So I converted my tree map into a set, and then I convert it to an iterator. Now, the things are going to be easier. I'm jumping into a while statement, and in this condition, I'm saying I'm using the hasNext method, and hasNext does not return the value inside my collection, inside my iterator. It will only return true if we have another line, okay? Returns true if the iteration has more elements. It let us know if we are at the end of not of the collection. In this case, it will return true because we are not at the end. Of course, we are at the beginning. And I'm instantiating an object of type map.untry, and map_untry is really near what we got inside a tree map. It's a key value collection also. I'm using the method next inside my iterator, and in this case, next will indeed return the next element in the iteration. So this expression, for the first time, will return what is inside the first line of our iterator and what was inside the first line, the first index of our tree map. I'm collocating it inside the main tree variable. I'm using the buffered writer object to start writing inside my txt file. I'm using, of course, the method writes a string, and inside my map.untry now, I can get the first element, I can get the key. So in our case, you remember the key was the symptoms. So I believe the first one was tremor. I'm concatenating to equal to a string, and I'm adding also the value. This way, I wrote already my first line inside my txt file. I'm using the newLine method inside the BufferedWriter class also to jump to the next line, writes a line separator. The line separator string is defined by the system property line separator and is not necessarily a single new line. So as it's not finding anything, it's going to the next line. And the next turn, of course, I will have another index which is filled with the other symptoms inside the iterator. So I will keep returning it and using my BufferedWriter to write what's inside my main tree variable inside my txt file. When I will hit the end of my iterator, I will break the while statement and I will take care of closing my access to the file. And that's pretty much it. We will be good to go, and I'm jumping to the main method to show you the syntax. Compute data dot write symptoms. On the left part of the expression, the first parameter, I'm providing the tree map sorted, of course, and the second parameter is the txt file I want to create and to fill, in which I want to write all my sorted symptoms with the counts. Let's do it on the debugger mode with the debugger. To see slowly what's going on. As you can see, on the BufferedWriter, I'm having my instance, and the most important thing is the iterator. And as you can see, inside the iterator, we can see we have all our symptoms sorted alphabetically and with all the counts of the symptoms. When I'm doing to the next, I'm starting to write each line. By the way, I can do this. I can delete my result.txt file to show you that we are going to write inside it. Here we go. At this point, you will see we are going to jump to the end, and at the end, we will have the new txt file with all the symptoms sorted. We can also write it this way. Because, as you know, the important thing is to understand each syntax, is expression will return a collection or a string, and in the next lecture we will see what's going on if we write it this way. But for now, I hope this is clear. I did it step by step, first one, second one, third one, and last one. Make sure you understood everything and do it yourself. I will catch you in the next lecture.